Welcome to Cooking with Benson. Okay, so we're gonna do a different video. We're not actually cooking today. As you guys have seen previous videos, I've kind of got into canning and processing my own food for like long-term storage. And I was gifted some old jars. In the same sense that I was gifted them, what it was is a buddy of mine's grandmother passed away a few years back, and they were into canning very big. They did jams and jellies and fruits and stuff that they had on their property. They were farmers and stuff. And so I was gifted all their old jars, but some of them, a lot of them, I'm looking at the pile over here, still have food in them. And the thing with that is nobody knows exactly how old the food is that's in them. So looking over it, I can tell what some of the stuff is. And you know, I've looked, and basically most people, and the consensus is, as long as the seals are still good, the food is still good. And I've checked all the seals and they're solid. The issue I have is that they're rusty lids because they've been sitting in the weather. The shed that they were in, the roof fell in, and so these lids are like super rusty. So my big concern would be if it's rusted all the way through and that's gotten in the food. And I understand rust isn't necessarily bad for you because it's just oxidized iron. But the other thing is when I show you some of these, the color on some of these is just, it's gnarly. So I will say there is honey in here, and there was a couple things of cane syrup in there. I gave most of those to my buddy's mom because I'm not a big cane syrup. I don't care for the flavor of it. I've helped make it. I know how it's done. It's a cool process. I just don't care for the... I don't know, it's just something about the flavor that I don't care for. It's too molassesy. I like a molasses flavor, but not so much that it's like punching you in the face. I do have one jar of it. We're gonna test that, and then we're gonna check the honey and possibly test the honey today. Now, what I've done is I've got this yellow bucket to throw scraps in. What I'm going to do is take all the honey that's over here and put it in this bucket. So it's a Firehouse Subs bucket that I bought because it's a food safe bucket. And what I did is I have made mead and other fermentation projects, and when it comes to making honey wine or mead, you have to sterilize stuff. So this bucket and the scooper that's inside this bucket that I'm going to use for the honey has been washed and soaked in a special acid cleaner, and the honey's going to go in there and get sealed because I imagine most of it's going to be almost candy form because it's going to be so thick and it's been sitting so long. So enough babbling, let's get into it. So I'm going to show you the bottle of syrup first. So that's it, and it's still that deep dark molasses color. So okay, that was easier than I thought it was going to be. All right. So it smells, I mean, it's like, there's no like mold or anything that I can see in the bottle. It's the right color. It's the right smell for molasses. And because I know what molasses should taste like, I'll taste it, even though I hate molasses. Oh God, it's that just perfect molasses. I know what cane syrup tastes like. So. Woo! Actually, that's not bad. You know what? This doesn't have that same, I don't know, maybe the cane syrup I've had in the past, it had such a, like a robust molasses flavor to it. That actually is pretty light in comparison. I have no idea how old this bottle of cane syrup is, but it could be anywhere from 10 to 20 years old. At bare minimum, it's 5 years old, and probably older than that, so interesting. I'm cooking with this. You might see this in a video. So we're definitely gonna save this. I'm almost positive this is figs. It's solid, whatever it is. So I'd say it's probably fruit-based because it's probably got some pectin in it. So see the color? It's not pretty. It's like a gray color. All right, here we go. The underside of the lid from here looks pretty good. There's no rust on the other side of the lid, so that gives me hope for the honey at least. It's definitely figs. It doesn't have a bad smell. I'm gonna show you. There's a little bit of liquid to it, but most of it, well, the fig I was holding on to broke in half because it's so mushy. I don't know. It's very mushy. I'd say it's probably a jam bait, probably some kind of jam they made, or they packaged it in the syrup and the syrup solidified. I can't bring myself to eat it. It's not gonna happen. It smells fine. This is definitely pears, from what I can tell.
Yeah.
Seal's still pretty good. I mean, you can see like how rusty the outside of this lid is. I mean, you can hear that seal come loose. I don't know. It's so... It smells like pears. Ooh, that has got a grainy consistency to it. Yeah, I don't know. That's not gonna happen. Alright, I'm gonna grab one that I know for sure is honey. Like I said, I took every step to ensure this honey bucket has been sanitized. Alright, I am 99% sure this is honey. It looks like that's a comb that's in there. You can see where the wax from the comb is kind of melted and then re-solidified. This joker has got some weight to it. Oh, I wasn't expecting the ring to come off so easy, to be honest with you. Let me get this out of the way so I don't get rust in there. All these rings are going in the trash. I've got my own rings. You can see where it's rusted here, but where the ring was on there, it protected it. It looks like I've got a leakage here, which worries me that this honey may have been introduced to the elements and gotten moisture in it, but we'll take a look. Now, the only reason I'm even playing around with the honey and the syrup, honey is so full of sugar that actually it's the one thing, it's the only food product that scientists agree never goes bad. Which is a weird thought, considering it's bee vomit, but it's definitely honey, and that is definitely honey comb. Interesting. It is the darkest honey I have ever seen in my life. It's definitely like very thick, thicker than normal honey because it's been sitting for so long, but should have brought a spoon. Whoa. Woo, that is punchy. Not like that coffee almost has a that honey almost has a coffee flavor to it. It's so dark. I don't know why they start with honeycomb. It drives me. I hate chewing honeycomb. That's just me though. I don't know. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna put it in this sanitized bucket and see if there's something I can do with it. That is such a strong flavor though for honey. Like that's it's like a Robitussin coffee. Ugh. Ooh. I lied. It looks like it looks like petrol. It's like oil out of your car. There's no mold in it, there's no moisture to it, so it's definitely not gonna, it definitely hasn't gone bad because honey doesn't go bad. But That is some thick stuff. So this, I have no idea what it is. Kristen says he thinks it might be grapefruit, maybe oranges. Now I'm seeing pieces of it. But that's what I'm saying, like, people are like, oh, it doesn't matter how old it is, it's still good. You know, it might still be good, but guys, that looks like, blech. That looks like somebody chewed this up first, vomited it in a jar, and gave it back. That's just how, and that's not on the people that processed and canned it. That's just how long it's been sitting. It's just, it has broken down so much over time. Plus the way they had it stored was in a shed in Florida, which means it's gotten hot and cold and hot and cold and hot and cold. Ugh. It doesn't, no. I wouldn't say that it's, I don't know, it's just got like a funk to it. Not like a bad funk, but not a good one.
Shake weight.
Shake weight. Oh God, it's so solid. I'll bring it back if I find anything more interesting. Most of this is just stuff you've seen so far, the pears and stuff. Basically, I'm gonna just finish cleaning these out. I'm gonna rinse them out real good, and they're gonna go in a bleach bath for a day or two. And then once they go in the bleach bath for a day or two, I'll bring them out, hand wash them with good hot soapy water. And once that's done, I'm gonna actually use the sanitizer stuff that I use for my alcohol making on these. So I'll bring you back if I find anything interesting. All right, I'm pretty sure I showed you some of this stuff, like in the jars and stuff, but I'm gonna see if I can give you a little bit closer up image. So going through this, like I said earlier, all the seals so far, except for maybe a couple, have been on there solid. And the best way I've found to get it off is we have this thing right here. It's got like a can mouthpiece on it. And so what you can do, I grab it and just kind of, so like that one actually came off pretty easy. I'm kind of surprised. But some of them are coming off. You can literally hear the air sucking itself, or hear the thing sucking the air into it. It's sealed so tight. So this is one it's got plenty of juice on it, but then after that it's solid. And you can see this is fruit, so basically it's got so much pectin in it, because fruit naturally has pectin, that it has solidified into like a watery jam almost. And this is why I don't want to eat any of it. Not necessarily because I think it's bad, because it all smells fine. It's literally just a solid just mass. And I have to like propeller it out with a spatula. So that's, and see the like the pectin, the jelly version of it there in the bottom. And like I said, I'm almost positive it's still good. It doesn't smell at all. It smells like fruit. It's just the look to it is so unappealing on some of this fruit, like some of the edges and stuff, because like the syrup and stuff doesn't cover it fully. Let me find another one that's kind of. Here's figs, and you can literally see how packed they're in there. This is solidified because of all the pectin and stuff in the figs. So, and what I'm doing is I'm putting all this in a bucket, and then we live in the country, so this is going to go into a pile in a field in front of my house. And then I think I might put like a GoPro to take pictures every couple hours or so on it tonight and stuff, and see if I don't get any like wildlife. So there's the figs in the jar. Like, Dairy Queen ain't got nothing on this. Like, that whole flipping their blizzards upside down, whatever. Like, Dairy Queen ain't got nothing on this. We had one that I did like that earlier, and it slowly slid down, and it sounded like it growled at me. I was like, look, Kristen, it's one of those toys we used to play with. It's like the stick that makes noise when you shake them or whatever. So I did end up getting almost 5 gallons of honey, and it's the darkest, richest honey. Some of the jars had like 1/4-inch layers of just honey sugar across the bottom of them. I actually tried a bit of the honey sugar. I actually have a piece right here. So that's the honey. That's honey that's turned to crystallized sugar, and it's got a very sweet flavor. It's actually not bad at all. It's almost like, woo! That honey is so punchy. It's like tart almost. It's so rich. Kind of wish I knew where the honey came from and what it's made out of. Is it just like wild weed honey? Is that why it's got such an interesting flavor to it? I am done. Got all the food dumped out. The honey's a keeper. It tastes fine. It's very earthy and molassesy, almost coffee-like. The motor oil look and consistency is a little off-putting, but I think it's just because it probably needs to be warmed up and kind of allowed all the sugar and stuff to mix back in. And then I'll probably leave the honeycomb in there until I get lower in the bucket to strain it. But I was talking to my buddy of mine as I was going through some of this, and he said to kind of show you guys this. So one of the things he said to show you is, so this is a pear that was done, and it's interesting because yes, it's soft on the outside, but if you crack it open, the inside of this pear is still very, very firm. Most of the stuff that came out of those jars was just this nasty consistency. It was a nasty gray color, and it just wasn't pleasant, and the texture was very weird. So this is soft on the outside, like a little squishy in some places, but mostly like once you get to the real center of this fruit, it's still very solid. So it was either one of those like really kind of hard pears, or it just kind of shows that the canning process doesn't necessarily destroy everything. I think the other fruits and stuff were figs and oranges, which have a already have a soft consistency interior, and so it was very easy for them to just kind of basically deteriorate over time. The other thing he said to show you guys is these jars were sitting in a shed and the roof had caved in from the rain and stuff, and so these jars were getting a lot of rain. There was rat poop and stuff all over them. So this is the back side of most of these jar lids. They're this rust color. In fact, some of them are worse than this, like it's flaking. The rust is so bad. But this is the side that was in the jars. So rust, it looks terrible, you know, you throw that away. But other than where the seals and the edge of the jars were, you know, the inside of these canning lids look great. Like they look almost brand new, except for where the jars touched and it's sealed. I mean, you can't reuse these are garbage anyways, whether they're rusty or not. You can only use them one time. But he just thought that was pretty interesting, that the inside of these lids still look almost pristine condition. This one you can kind of see. Let me see what this is. I think this is just food. Yeah, this is just like food that's stuck to it. It's not like, that's not rust or anything where it's rusting through. You know, it's still in pretty good condition, in fact. So there's another one. That's just where it's been in the dirt. It's in my wheelbarrow. You know. So it's interesting how well the inside of these jars were protected from nature, you know, and the food was probably still very good. What I'm going to do with this food, though, is it's going to feed the wildlife. We do live, as you can see, I got a giant pine trees behind me. We live on a decent sized piece of property. We get deer and possums and armadillos and things like that. So I've dumped 2 buckets worth up here on the property, and then I've got about a half gallon left of it in the bucket over there, and that's actually going to go feed my chickens and my ducks. So they're going to get a nice little treat of some veggies, so like some corn, maybe some mushy carrots, and then some fruits and stuff. So, and it's all fruits and stuff that they can have. So I'm going to go give that to them. And it's not a, you know, some of this, you know, these people worked very hard. I've been canning myself recently. It's a lot of hard work. So they worked very hard on this stuff 20 years ago in a very small kitchen, 4-burner stove, you know, and it's interesting to see all their hard work. It sucks in the sense that their hard work went to waste because the food didn't get eaten. But it's not going to go to waste in the sense that it's going to feed the wildlife around here, and it's going to feed my chickens and my ducks, which they're still young right now, but they'll eventually provide us eggs and stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the kitchen.